Hi, my name is She. Um, some people might say I'm a singer. Some people know me as a violinist or a pianist. Um, I used to announce myself as a poet. You might say I'm a painter, but I am not a painter. I am an artist who paints. You just happen to catch me at a good time. I love all of the things I do. I don't know if I love them equally, but I don't think that really matters because I don't do them for the satisfaction of, oh, I'm good at painting or I'm good at poetry. I would love to be good at all of those things, but, according to other people, I can't be good at them in a certain way unless I do it a certain way. So, not really too concerned about all of that. But if it was up to me, I would just have people address me as she. Because people don't really understand me, and most of the time that upsets me. And if I didn't have my friends, I would feel really lonely. Because quite frankly, people suck. But I also really, really love loving people, and I like having reasons to believe in people. So I have faith that people are better than they seem to be, or that, they're better than their worst thing. Because I'm better than my worst thing. So I don't make art for satisfaction. I'm usually not satisfied. I choose to be satisfied when I'm like, all right, well, I'm done working. But I don't work on projects. I buy canvases and then I vent. It's improv, it's freestyle, and it's in everything I do. All of my poems are freestyled. All of my music is freestyled. If I start writing something, it's because I freestyled a verse in my head first, and I was like, let me expand on this. And I was classically trained in violin and piano, so that's probably the most rigorous and intensive and intentional learning that I've done in my life. But everything else, because of that, has to be improv for me. Otherwise, it doesn't feel real. Sometimes I don't feel like I know how to play the piano authentically because I spent so much time being told what was right and what's not. But I really care about everything I do. I care so much that sometimes I don't do it because I care so much. And it makes me really nervous when I feel like I'm not doing enough because I know how much I could do. Unfortunately, you guys don't. And so I tend to hide things, and it feels like I'm keeping them safe, but really they're never seeing the light of day. And then I come across as more introverted than I am. But maybe I'm just really introverted, but that's okay. I still have this desire to be seen and felt, more importantly, and I think that's why the choice of medium doesn't matter as much as the act of me making something. If I go throughout my everyday life and I'm responsible and I pay my bills and I work and I cook and I manage my money, I will never be satisfied unless I am making art. So if it comes down to it, I would rather struggle, no matter how painful, and know that I'm making something, than just feel like I'm making something of my life and I haven't put pen to paper, or I haven't, put my hands in paint. I paint because I can play. I don't paint because someone told me I was good at it. Nobody taught me how to paint. Nobody said that I was gifted. Literally at first, actually, I think my family was trying to hold back their comments about the fact that they didn't think, they didn't understand what I was doing. Initially, I wasn't using brushes. I was just finger painting and using a palette knife. And I started off using texture mediums. So I would buy mediums that allow you to make the paint, you mix it with the paint, and it creates a glazing and a thickening effect, so it can dry 3D. So how a painter takes a brush stroke and it's like in abstract paintings with minimalist work, they literally allow you to see what the paint stroke did. It's not blended in. Imagine that, except 3D, so you can see the paint almost as if it was always wet. I used to do that. I used to do acrylic pours, except I think I did it more interestingly than you know, it, like, I don't know. I just think mine were more interesting than the ones I had seen, because I see a lot of acrylic pours and I think they're beautiful, but I think it's really easy for them to not actually be that unique because of the fact that they push that each one is unique. So people end up doing the same technique. I never did the same technique. I used blow torches. I blew on the canvas to open up the cells in the paint. If you know anything about acrylic pours, I did really weird stuff just to see what would work and how it would make things look. And because of that, things always look different. To this day, I don't really like brushes. The only reason I used a brush today is because I can't use a palette knife or a ruler or anything to scrape paint onto it without it just sitting on the wall. You know, you have to use like a sponge or a paintbrush when you're working on a wall if you want it to sit in it. And also, when I move out, I'm gonna have to paint the walls back white, so I can't risk it. But yeah, I prefer texture, I prefer play. I can't focus on the end result because then I'll be really insecure about the process. But most of all, I don't know, it's really not for anyone else. So it's interesting that my deepest fear is feeling, you know, inadequate, because I can't push myself to make art for other people. I get really discouraged, you know? I get really discouraged when I feel like someone is asking me to do something that I wouldn't normally do artistically, because art for me is not about, you know, homage to like, you know, like these great people who came before us. It's really not about respect for the craft. I'm probably always doing everything wrong, and that's okay. Someone tried to tell me about color technique and like color theory, and I was like, bro, I don't care. I don't care. It is not relevant whether you think my work is pretty. In fact, I know how to make beautiful work. That's not the issue. My work is normally beautiful before I decide to taint it a bit because it feels too pretty. It's not real. If it's a journal entry, then it's not going to be dainty. If it's a, you know, stream of thought poem, it's not about perfect sentences. It's not about perfect rhymes. None of that matters. It's about what I was feeling in that moment. And if it's fucking ugly, I don't care. And I'm sorry that I used to care, because for what? Just to make art that I didn't care about? Bro, I have pieces that I literally don't care about, and that to me is wild, because I'm not attached to this work that I've done. It's cool to see, but if it burned up tomorrow, I'd be okay, because not only do I have like a picture of it, but even if I didn't have a picture, it was just an act. It was an exercise. I needed to exercise my brain and my body into making something. So yeah, this is just the evidence, but this wasn't the final product. The final product was the peace of mind I felt after doing something. This is just the remnants. Like, I just couldn't clean up a canvas, you know? I used to finish paintings and then paint over the canvas, and I fully liked the painting. I just needed a new canvas. And I was like, well, I have the urge to make something, and I'm not gonna let this stop me. And I'm always running out of paint, and as you can tell, none of that paint is meant for walls. But it's okay. I'm faced with these certain like struggles that I didn't have to deal with before, where it's all about resources, and I don't have the resources I used to have, which were already me experimenting. So now I refuse, you know, the help of teachers because I think it's lame, and I really like having conversations with people about my work as peers, not as you could have done this better, because you can't tell me how to think. This was a thought that I expressed on a canvas. It was not, oh, this is my way of talking about da-da-da-da. And I'm not sure if it came across clear enough, because bro, it's like I said, these paintings may never see the light of day. There's a lot of paintings that I just never put out there, and so they only exist to me, or I forgot to photograph them and I painted over them. So art to me is very temporary, but it is to keep my mind sharp so that I don't lose it. I really feel like I would go insane if I didn't make things. I've always made things. It's always been incredibly important to me that I am a creator and not just an artist. And that's why I'm not going to art school. Maybe one day for fun, like literally to meet people. I don't care about being better at what I do in regards to how other people see art, because I hate doing the hyper technical work, spending so long on pieces because this one little thing isn't right, not because I feel like painting and inspired and I feel like I could do something better. It's really just, it's so much deeper than I want to do a good job. It's like I want to do right by me. I'm usually frustrated and give up on whether something will look right. Like 20 minutes into a painting, I'm like, it's shit. But I keep going. And then eventually I'm like, okay, it's cool now. Okay, I kind of like this little part right here. Okay, that's cool. And this part is still ugly. All right, let me work on that. Okay, layers. Okay, this is my way of fixing this, which is really just creating this. And that's how I think. That's how I get through my madness, my anxiety. All of it expresses itself in my work. My friend called my work bubbly. My friend Forrest, he said that I was like, do my paintings look, anxious to you? And he was like, no, they look like bubbly, like your personality. And I tend to see myself as more erratic and anxious than bubbly, because I tend to have this, I know I have this nervous stream of thought that's always underneath all of my calm ones, and sometimes it levels up to the surface and overwhelms it. But it's like, even if it's like a very small stream, it's a long stream and it's an old stream, and it's like, it's there. And so when I work, it can bring itself to the surface, and I can also like level it out in a way where I don't feel as trapped by it. So when I'm able to work through the anxiety I feel when I paint, it is about, it's about me working through like my brain, like soothing myself. All of my 90% of what I do in life that is not a requirement is a soothing gesture. I cook because it calms me down. I paint because it releases tension. I sing because I feel like if I don't, I'm wasting my voice. Like I have things to say and I have sounds that go with it, and like sometimes there's no like words, it's just hums or like, and it's just, or I don't know. It just really soothes me to bring things out of myself, because I'm incredibly emotional, and I know this, and everyone knows this, really. So it's just a matter of how do I be emotional and functioning in a highly, like, I don't know, critical world. Not to sound overly academic, but yeah. Sometimes I really don't know what I'm doing. Most of the times I don't know what I'm doing. On occasion, I start out with an idea and then everything goes left. So I usually just try not to have an idea, so that when everything goes left, I can be like, oh, cool, we're going left, and not, fuck, I thought we were going straight or right. But the more that I lose things, because I have lost a lot recently, the more that I gain in terms of like my ability to pull things out of my ass, basically. I feel like a magician sometimes, because I usually really don't know how what I have versus what I want to do is going to like come together to create the finished product, which is why I can't call these finished products, because there was no, I think that, first of all, y'all can't even tell what used to be this painting. There's so many layers and so many parts of my process that are not consistent, that do not necessarily happen the next time I make a painting, or aren't even like a triggered response from X, Y, and Z happening. It's always something new. It's always slightly a panic attack, and it's documented visually. My music doesn't come across like a panic attack. My music is literally meant to be a lullaby, because sound is very important to me. Sound is more important to me than visuals, I think, just because, you know, violin and piano being the first influences in my life, sound was emphasized. Like, details in music mean everything to me, and that promotes my inner critique. So I'm not 100% satisfied with my music. I'm aware of when I make these mistakes, when I don't hit the note, when my breath isn't proper, and I feel it to the highest degree, especially when I'm listening back. It's not I think this sounds great. It's like okay, I have to live with the fact that I'm not perfect, and I'm going to release this so that people know I do things, because if it was up to me, I would keep this in the vault until I had the most perfect rendition. And then later, when I'm not nervous because the cameras or my voice memo isn't going, I may do something brilliant, and the world will never know, because it was like the reason why I was able to bring that out was because I wasn't nervous. So I just, art allows me to be nervous. People think it's cool when your shit's not proper. And music, people really want you to be over your nervousness while you're performing a story about being nervous. It can be, replace nervous with any emotion. In music, nobody wants you to be angry while you're singing an angry song. They want you to perform anger and passion, but nobody wants you to actually break the mic on stage. Nobody wants you to throw some shit at the crowd that's like a knife or something because you're pissed, right? You have to be able to control everything when you're doing music, because your body is the instrument, so you can't allow one part of your body to mute or silence, the same word, the other part, in an effort to be dramatic. So drama is deeply ingrained in all of my storytelling. It's never just, and all of my lullabies are dramatic as well. There's never just, the sun is yellow, the sky is blue, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. There's usually like something that I am thinking about that makes its way into my music, regardless of whether I'm talking about it or not. And you may never know what that something is, because there's so many other random streams of thought that come together to make a song that, came off the top of my head, that it's only when I'm listening to it back that I'm like, oh, that's actually a song, and not 3 minutes of me trying out different tunes and singing whatever comes to head. So that's always really fun. I hate when niggas say, that's always really fun, when they talk about their process, because they just sound like a dick. But it's fun to try things and to not know how it's going to work out when you know that there's at least a 1 in 100 chance that it's going to be fire. If you can have faith in yourself that at least once in 100 times it's going to be fire, there's some confidence that builds when you're like, you do it enough that you have maybe 2 or 3 fire things out of like 3. Like, I have thousands of voice memos, like easily like 5,000 voice memos from the span of 2017 till now. There are parts of my life, like seasons, where I like recorded myself every single day, and it was not good. It was not like I was doing anything special. In fact, most of the time it was me like literally teaching myself how to sing by being like, okay, this doesn't sound proper. This isn't how you breathe. No matter how you think this sounds when it comes out of your mouth, this is not what it sounds like when you play it back. So anyone who knows me knows, especially Zoe, knows how much time I've put into learning how to be honest with everything I do. So yeah, I guess I would just say that I do a lot of things Maybe I don't all love them the same, but they are all equally important, because there are points in my life where I do love something that I may disregard for 2 years more than anything I've ever loved, and then I pick something else up, and it is equally important that I have that experience of learning something and coming across as erratic and picking up something new.
Next thing, think about something that you really just want to end off on. It's just like, yeah, type of thing. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Alright, you can go ahead.
So, if you want to get to know me, you need to know that I am not how I seem, because I do not know how to come across. So, it is always about, I don't know, just like being patient with me, because I'm pretty shy. If I didn't have friends, you would never hear from me. Aw, that's she.